Right, so the RX4's back. Still cutting plenty out of it. Welding some more patch panels. Let's see where we're at and what we've got in store with the engineer. So I'm just starting work on these lower sills here. Again, I just want to stress what I'm doing with the car here is I just want to make it neat. It's not absolutely concourse and I don't want to spend big money on it. Realistically, I should probably get these sills all bent as like one piece, but it's probably going to cost a couple of $100 and I'd have to wait for someone to do it. Whereas if I just cut strips off at a time, tack weld them in, bend them to the angles I need, weld it all in, grind it down. Already got all the steel I need, so it doesn't really cost me anything other than my time and a bit of gas, which gas doesn't matter because I have to weld them in anyway if I had one piece sills. So gonna keep on keeping on like this and can only see how it turns out. So that's gone pretty well. That's where the line is meant to end. And I can just trim it up a little bit on this end, maybe about a millimetre up this end to about there, and that is good to go. So with that part sort of done, just move straight on to the next job, which is obviously this whole section is missing. So I've made up a flat section. I've already bent seaming it there, and this is just in here. That's very loosely put in because now I need to know where I have to make the next bend, and it's going to be right about there, and I'll bend that down, trim it to size, and we should be good to go. All right, here's my homemade bender. This is, I think it's 50 by 50 angle. It's 100 by 50 rectangle tubes. OG full boost subscribers and viewers will recognize this from when I made it. I reckon I made this maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago, maybe even. So if you're ever worried about not having the right camera, not having the right equipment and that and becoming a YouTuber, look that video up because I filmed that with a really, really old camera. The lighting is horrendous, the quality is pretty bad, the audio is not so great, and I'm pretty sure it's had over 500,000 views or something. So if you want to work out how to build your own bending brake at home, look that video up, but it's pretty basic. I just made it from scrap metal from a scrap metal place, but yeah, this is how it works. Got a big tube on here for some leverage, and away we go. Alrighty, end result, perfect, just what you wanted. Okay, so it's ready to weld in and pretty happy with how that's turned out there. Got some vice grips in there holding it in place, but that curve there's just about spot on. So let's get some welds, get some welds up the top there, put some over here, and should be good to go. And just like that, new sill thingamajig. As my dog barks in the background. This is the other side of the car, so this is what we're looking to replicate. We need a 90 basically here to go into the pinch panel. Section under here, which is 65mm. This section, which is 85mm. And then this little section that's slightly rolled, which is about 12mm. So let's go and have a look at how we've customised that up. So we've got this big piece of steel here. You might not be able to see the numbers. You might maybe fold it that way, but this is the small piece, like that's about 15mm down the bottom for that bend. You see I've got 90 degree. That's the pinch panel one right down the bottom where we'll spot weld all the way across to mount up with the rest of the chassis. Top part, which is about 12mm, which is about 50 degrees. It's not right on 45. This is the 85mm part. This is the 65mm part. And you see there's a 45-degree bend there. Now, you can see, obviously, this bottom part is only going to be 15mm, and this top part's 12mm. You can see I've left a heap of real estate there, and that's because when we go chuck it in this beast over here, the bender, the width of that is about, I can't remember. I think it's about... might be about 50mm. If you try to bend something that's only 12mm in there, it won't bend very well. So what you try and do is leave yourself a fair bit of real estate that it can fully clamp the load down on, and you'll be able to bend it up good. So let's throw this in there and let's see if we can replicate what those factory rocker boxes look like, or close to it anyway. So just got this clamped in place there, and that looks really good. I did test it out on the other side and it followed the body lines perfect. So I've just lined this up now just so I can see exactly where this panel is, and made a texture line there, and I'll draw across there, cut it out, and we should be good to go. This is looking great. This is the point we're at now. They are in there. Obviously just a little bit of tweaking to get it all right, but I'll start by spot welding them down on here first so they're held in place, and then I'll bend this top lip and this to being the right profile that I want, and then fill that in with weld, and away we go. So that's as good as done for this, I guess, stage one in terms of fabrication sort of stuff. I want to get metal in where there's no metal, or where there's completely rusted out terrible metal. I want to get it welded in, and I want to get it somewhat ground down to the point where the whole car is then finished, and then I can come over and finally finish all the other stuff and that too. I just want to keep on making progress and rolling on. So I'm happy with how this is welded in, this is ground down. I have to work on where I next want to go. This quarter is still a major issue, obviously. This is really ripply through here and that, but I'm not going to start beating on it and stuff like that until, again, like I said, all the fabrication stuff's done. So I think what I'm going to look at doing next is this dog leg here is, you can see I made the skirt a bit longer. The bottom part of this lip here wasn't done on purpose because I didn't know how it was meant to go. And yeah, all this is rotted out. So this isn't welded in from basically from here onwards, I only welded in from there. So I'll have to, at least I've got, lucky thing about this car is I've got one good side, so to speak, that I can always make measurements off and make templates and then mirror it over here. So I think I'm going to tackle this next. Then I think I might do this. There's a bit of, yeah, it's a bit rotted there. This guard is just absolutely terrible, but it's a bit rotted there and it's creased here. So I don't know if I'm going to make a patch panel here. Again, I was more confident doing something like this than I am doing this. This is a really defined sort of curve, and then you've got the lip and that. So I'm more nervous about actually doing this than this. This seems like it's more, I guess, noticeable if you get it wrong, whereas this, I'm pretty confident it's such a big area. I can fill that and make it look not too bad. As long as it's smooth and that, it's a big area to sort of work with. Here it's, yeah, it's not so much, but I think I might be able to come in behind here. Oh my God. There's so many creases and what feels like weld and stuff underneath here. That's nuts. It's literally the entire inside of this wheel arch is creased. So I might actually try and just see if I can just spot weld some of this, that I don't have to do a whole panel repair section, then spot weld it, because this guard basically comes here, then it goes in, then out again. So if I can tap this out, tap some of this out and then fill it, whatever, This, I'm just going to fill that. It looks like it's welded in and it's structurally sound, so I think I'll fill that. But yeah, I'm not filling anything until I get all the repair stuff done. So, and then I'll epoxy the car. So after I do this, I'll probably go over to that corner and start work on that, because that corner inside the car there on the floor, and that's a bit of a as well. So something I have just noticed, and I hadn't noticed before, is that there's ominous bolt holes in this car that look like a bolt and roll cage might have been in here, which would explain why the rear is so cactus in terms of there, and why it may have had so many hits, and why the panel repair jobs may be so bad. This may have been some kind of race car or something at some point. So, don't know. Yeah, don't know. We'll keep on keeping on. We'll keep on doing what we're doing in that. But yeah, so we're just taking all the rear trim off here and having a look at what's underneath. It's called a valance panel or something. Can't remember, but geez, it looks a bit ripply in that. I can't remember the the actual design of the body lines or anything like this, but it's so pushed in that it's hard to know if it's been hit and hasn't been pulled out right, or if it's meant to sort of look like that. But the bumper fits up in these lines, so I assume it's meant to look like that. So got everything out here. I'm going to paint all of these, so I'm not worried about peeling chrome and stuff. Probably need to get new rubbers and that. Lenses you can clean up with like the headlight restoration stuff and that, but this stuff's not so much. This all gets hidden, so who cares in that? If it's a little bit wavy underneath there, I don't care. But the big issue is here is obviously repaired that, because that was just finished. The other one that I put off a bit was here in here. I think I can just spot weld these. That doesn't look, you know, I reckon I can chase that and spot weld that rather than just always cutting out pieces and welding it in. I reckon I could spot weld that. But this is where the rear bumper support is. Obviously there's no strength here because it's so ruined. So, you know, if we were to get hit up the rear here, you sort of want to have some strength in where the bumper is. So what I'm going to do is, you can see there's a spot weld there, one there, one there. So what I'm going to do is drill out the spot welds, retain this bracket, because this bracket looks fine, it's not rusty, and then just have to do a panel repair all in there. So, all right, time to get that out and yeah, see how we go. Get a better look at it here. A little bit of surface rust behind it, doesn't really matter, but you can see that there's rust all the way through here. So all I'll do is cut out a nice big square there, and that'll be done. Interrupt this broadcast of RX4 content to bring you a quick update on the RX7. We're looking to go out there again on 10th, I think, of, what month is it now? April. So 2 weeks basically looking to go out there. Only really change we're making is we've modified the shocks a little bit, or so we modified it. Shockworks modified the shocks, so let's take a look at what's happened there. So if you look at the last video of the RX7, you would have noticed we had the shocks out and we were going to get them modified, and this is what's happened. So Shockworks have increased the compression a little bit in these shocks, and they've also basically halved the bump stop, which means we're also going to modify where they sit in the car. So what that'll mean, we had just over 4 inches of shock travel before, and now we're probably looking at about just under 5 inches. So we've gained almost 3/4 of an inch. So what we're also going to do is to ensure that essentially that's, you know, that's what the compression side of it's going to be at ride height. Well, this is how much of the rod is going to be visible at ride height. So then all this is available for, you know, for extension. We're going to lift where this sits in the car, and I've just got some helper springs. So the guys at Shockworks gave me these as well, because when I had these other springs in there at the ride up before, the spring wasn't actually captive. So like the spring would sit there, but the mount would be down here, and this would sort of just be flapping in the breeze. So I used to have this sort of cable tied up on there, which is sort of common for this sort of setup, and that sometimes. But because these aren't, they can just slide in and out. Because the spring would just could just sit in there loosely, you could run the risk of this falling out at full extension. So with these helper springs, that should stop that if I need them. I'm not sure if I will. I have 2 sets of springs, so I'll try both sets. These are 80 pound, these are 100 pound, doesn't really matter. Just they both work pretty much fine. But we'll get these in, and yeah, we'll probably start off the day. I think that the rebound has also been changed. So Tim's at Shockworks said he changed the sweep of the rebound as well. So the softest will probably be softer, and the harder will probably be a bit harder. So I think maybe if we start off again at 1 click or whatever at the base, might give us a good baseline anyway to compare against where it was before. The only issue is, of course, we're going to have the different bar angle than we've ever had before as well. Like what I've been saying with the setup, we're still playing with the setup. So obviously we've had the really radical bar setup where we topped out the shock. We've had the really neutral bar setup where it only gives us 2 inches of extension. We're going to start with the top bar down a bit, and then we're going to go from there. So I'm going to whack these shocks in, and yeah, we'll set it up and we'll get back on the RX4. So there's only so many hours in a week, and I think I've got as much done for this episode that I can on this. One thing I will say is that looks like we're getting closer with engineering this thing, and that the Barra and the ZF conversion is probably a go. If I am base hitting on that, I've done some primary calculations on some costs and stuff, and that's what I need to start working on, costing out and who does what and the kinds of parts. Again, I'm not a Barra guy. I am, ask me a question about a rotary and what combo to use, and I'll tell you about the best people out there and who they are and how much they cost and all that kind of stuff. Barra stuff, probably need some guidance on the great people around watching this video and around on the forums and whatever they are, the group pages on Facebook these days, I should say, no more forums anymore. Prelim sort of numbers, Bill Hooton gave us some guidance on post I put up the other night on Full Boost about what you need to actually get a ZF and a Barra running in as an engine conversion, a car like this. And basically it was, if you're running like a BF Mark II engine and BF Mark II ZF 6-speed, try and get the BF Mark II ZF ECU. So you've got your ECU, you need the loom obviously, you need can Barra to make some things work properly, and then you'll need PCM tech. So I added up all those, judging on like forget about the loom, because you need a loom no matter what you do. What I'm trying to compare it against is basically a Haltech. The plan for this car is to be a complete lovely cruiser, exactly as if I was to get into the Jeep or the Commodore or whatever. I really want to do air conditioning in this thing. Things that really make sometimes these kind of cars a bit of a pain in the backside to get in and drive is that you're used to so many mod cons. You get in your car, you've got your air conditioning, you've got your cruise control, all this kind of stuff, and then you get in these things and sure, they're nice to drive. They maybe just down the shops or out for a cruise and that, but in the heat of summer, you don't want to take them out because it's, they're too hot on a long drive. Why would you want to drive it for? So I want to do air conditioning. I want to do cruise control, and I've got the ZF. So really the only options for me are either factory ECU or Haltech. There's no other ECU on the market, as far as I'm aware, other than those two options that can control the ZF. Cruise control is also sort of a non-negotiable as well. From what I can gather, say $200 for a factory ECU, $660 for the PCM Tech version that controls the ZF and that, and then I think it's around $550 or so for the best version of the can Barra, which must do all the stuff I want to do with the air conditioning condenser and the ZF and maybe an aftermarket dash, a Haltech or Microtech or something like that. It's around about $1,450, $1,500, call it. The Haltech for the Elite 2500 with just the terminals, so no wiring loom or anything, is about $2,700. So the Haltech is about $1,300 more expensive than where you would be if you used a factory setup with PCM Tech software and whatnot. Yeah, again, we're looking to run budget on this thing. What I have to work out is, I don't really know much about the PCM Tech software and stuff. What I need to work out is, if at some point in 2 years' time, I say, right, the ZF's had its day, I want to put a Transbrake C4 in it now, or a Turbo 400 or a Power Glide or whatever, and I want to turn just a sedate 400 horsepower car into an absolute ball-tearing 800 horsepower street, like wild street car or whatever. Is the PCM Tech still the best option? Or if I'd went Haltech originally, is that still the best option? There's things like that to go through, so I'll probably need to do some more research around the PCM Tech and stuff, but maybe if you guys have done the conversion, what you guys think. I think wrapping up this right now, hopefully you got some confirmation, fingers crossed, from the engineer by next week. And then if I do, look out, I'll be, keep your eyes peeled for, basically we'll need a BF Mark II gas engine, LPG engine, ZF transmission, converter, flex plate, maybe a petrol intake manifold, don't know if I'll run a plenum, whatever, stuff like that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, and a wiring loom, I'd say. I don't want to start getting all the parts I need, I guess, for, like, you know, valve springs and all that kind of stuff early on. I'll worry about that later. I just want to do, I want to do all the rust repairs, and then I want to get an engine and transmission mounted in the car, so all that's done, so I can take it to engineering and say, are you happy with this? Is it right to go? Can I keep on proceeding? And then I can keep on working on things. That's where we're at now. And yeah, next week, we'll just keep on working on this. Might be a little bit more on the RX7, and I think that's pretty much wrapped up now. So April 10th, anyone wants to come out and yeah, say g'day or whatever, we might be out. Anyone that's in the area that wants to tag along and crew or something, that'd be cool. Let me know. But yeah, other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.